Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. If you're new here, my name's Anthony. I'm a business profit advocate. On this show, we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and people just doing cool things. For example, today we're meeting Denis Champagne. He's a multilingual B2B sales consultant, advisor, and coach, founder of Teams Model, strength and life coach, ex-squash player, ex-squash pro, sorry, and ex-master elite cyclist. How you doing today, Denis?
I'm super duper. Thank you for inviting me, my friend.
No, I really enjoyed our previous conversation, and you're doing a lot and have done a lot of things that I had never, talked to somebody, pro cyclist, pro ex squash player, just awesome things. So I definitely wanted to pick your brain. I think a lot of people out there like to get to know you a little bit better. So we'll start off. Where are you calling in from?
I'm from Montreal, Canada. So in the icy, nice white Christmas we have here in the snow. And I was born in Ottawa, which is the nation's capital of Canada. So I've been here 35 years in Montreal.
Awesome. What do you recommend people do? Where do you take people if they're coming up to visit you for the first time? Where do you go first?
Well, the old Montreal, obviously, it's a 400-year-old almost village, that's reconstituted, and there's a lot of tourism there, and a lot of visitors pass through there. There's a ice skating ring right by the St. Lawrence River. There's old museums. There's wonderful restaurants with European style food. Then there's the downtown where we have the largest underground shopping mall in the world. So you can take the subway and literally stay underground and shop all day long in the mall. That's pretty unique as well. So we got lots of other great things, but that's a couple of quick ones.
Yeah, that's awesome. An entire underground shot. That'd be about my speed, right? You get a little sun. Especially I imagine this comes in handy during the winter months when it's like, all right, I don't wanna deal with traffic and all that. You kind of go under, ignore the snow. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So, what can you tell us about what you do?
Well, my background was in sport, as you mentioned already, but I always had a knack for working in the sales space. In the sales space in the 80s and 90s and 70s were not what it is now. A lot of things have changed. Some things have not changed. Establishing trust and integrity with people is fundamental, no matter what the context or the ecosystem in which we work. So, I always had a kind of a boldness about me. My parents were also bold and outgoing and organizing things. So I was always kind of open to reaching out to people. So actually doing the prospecting or reaching out to construct, a pipeline was not something that was foreign to me or difficult for me in a way. Obviously, when you repeat it, discipline required. It is becomes difficult because discipline is difficult, but it's worth it. So I became good at that, and I was able to do that in more than three languages: English, French, and Spanish. Because I was born and raised in a bilingual environment and studied intensely Spanish early on. So I had clients in South America. So yeah, I coach people to help them to become competent in, prospecting new business, acquiring new clients, and using all that is required from the old school as well as the new school way of doing things. Leveraging all the technology, not overdoing it, making sure that there's a singularity and a uniqueness to your own brand, because salespeople and sales reps are really the brand of the company. They're the ones who represent and deliver at the first level of contact. So if there's not a good rapport established and you're not good at it, you're not going to get a lot of drag or traction, or whatever you want to call it, to establish a relationship or the beginning of one. So I help to kind of just like an athlete, right? I'm a bit of an athletic coach in sales. I use techniques and methods and a principle of my team's model that I use to help them structure their way of working well, help the managers and the vice presidents to predict properly or forecast better, because their concern is forecast accuracy, and help the individuals to become good, because we don't care about enough about our salespeople. We don't. We like to say, but coaching is not part of the kind of mentality of a lot of executives, and they don't attribute budget, but it's proven that when you coach someone, there's a much better ROI attached to that. So that's what I I like to do.
Yeah, I really like your approach because you have your professional background in sports, and you help people with the life coaching bit, which I've talked to quite a few that do. But one area that I really like what you do is you look on the fitness side. You're talking about the strength and life coaching because that's hand in glove, right? Depending on how you feel, translate directly over to how you're going to act, and vice versa, right? There's back and forth, especially if you're talking about discipline. How have you noticed your history through, being in sports, being a strength coach? How much has that translated over to your, working in sales or helping other sales professionals?
Well, my own fitness, I mean, I'm in my mid 60s. So definitely being resistant, having good cognitive skills, eating well, sleeping well, really caring for myself. Strength is probably the most important characteristic that you need in life besides adaptability. So if you're strong and you adapt well, you have a greater chance of holding the course of life. And also it's healthy. You think more clearly, your cognition is improved. So, when you're in a sales position or a management position and you're dealing with reps, you have a lot to deal with: data, reports, the flow of activity they're doing, their follow-ups with people, the pros of organizing a good quote, getting all the right information in procurement, navigating the consensus for your client's environment, because usually there's a lot of people that you have to deal with. You got to be on top of your mind. Your mind's got to be clear. If you train hard and you lift weights, your muscles, your body is better suited to metabolize, to have an active mind. It's proven now that more strength, better cognitive activities for older people. Well, in kind, it would probably also carry over to anyone. So you feel good, you feel strong. And usually, if you do that, you're disciplined. If you're disciplined, you'll probably be better at sales than not disciplined. So it's a carryover. They're carryover. Sometimes you have to begin somewhere in your life and become disciplined in one particular area, and that will carry over domino effect in other parts of your life over time. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you stick to it, usually there's a nice carryover in value in that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And we see it every day in the reverse too. Maybe you've been doing something right and then you take a break from it and then you slowly go the other way with it because it works both ways. So being active and making sure that you're taking positive steps instead of, letting those negative steps encroach is definitely important. If for nothing else, at least to keep you where you are, right?
Yeah.
You want to grow, you want to get better, but you also don't want to deteriorate, which, naturally happens with age. Things are gonna get harder and things, but if you can stay active with it, it doesn't happen nearly as fast. You can be, in your 70s still in the gym lifting, right? So that's important. That's awesome. What's your favorite thing about what you're doing?
I think that is getting that kind of, I call it, as a Buddhist, I call that treasures from the heart. When I have clients, like I was told a few days ago, that they love working with me, besides a financial, and pecuniary and monetary, compensation for working and earning your living. I like to think about earning a life and making a life. And making a life for me is getting those relationships in the forefront as the prime driver of delivering results by having good working relationships where they really appreciate, they value me, I value them, I care for their result, their outcome. Because at the end of the day, you're not following a company, you're following people. So it's people that is in the front of my concern and focus. So to have great relationships, people that consider you, that they consider you an important part of their team. Yeah, to be part of something, because I work with a small team of people, of subcontractors, or what you call in the US 1099s. The rest of it is my services. So, to have those links, those relationships, those treasures of the heart, as I say, besides treasures of the bank account, treasures of the heart are really the most valuable, and those are the ones that you'll remember as you get older. It's not that you earn a certain amount of money from someone. That's, there's a lot of rich people out there, and there's a lot of poor people, and the only things that certain poor people have is money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're gonna need some of those, like you said, treasures of the heart. More so the longer you are than than the where you're gonna remember them from. Yeah, you might be in a nice house, but if you're by yourself, what are you thinking about? What have you done? What can you be proud of? So yeah, absolutely. So you've been self-employed for years and years. You've been doing a lot of cool things. What do you recommend new entrepreneurs or people that are partway through their entrepreneur journey that might be facing struggles that they should probably see coming, or what advice would you give somebody that's starting out now?
Well, trust your heart. If your heart says go for this, really cherish the what your heart is saying, your gut is saying. We underestimate so much our gut, and it's a very powerful component of a human being. The other thing is seek a mentor, seek a couple of mentors. Don't be afraid. Connect with people that are way ahead of you. Go get from them. Tell them you're willing to do something for them in consideration for what they will offer you, but connect with very successful people. Don't be afraid. Be bold. Be swift. Be courageous. Go and meet these people and tell them you admire them. You want to learn from them. You've been following them, and it has to be the truth. You have been following them. Seek someone that you want to connect with, and chances are that so be around winners. Hang around winners. And when I say winner, I don't say that losers are bad people. They just lost something. They lost their motivation. They lost their hope. So when I say loser, is in the real literal sense of losing. But winning is that they are, like you said, they're strong, they're firm, they're decided, they trust themselves. And even when they're doubting themselves, they trust themselves. That's when a brave person is brave, is when it's not they're not fearful, same thing, but they go in spite of their fear, they move ahead. That's what I call a brave person. The same thing with decided to pursue your dream is seek the counsel of others. Don't be afraid to get advice from others, and listen to your heart. Like, really pay attention to your heart. Like, it comes by, goes by, you get a flutter in your heart. When I say heart, is guts, whatever you want to call it, your tripes, your innards. But if that's really talking to you, pay attention to that. It's yours. A lot of people discount themselves. They disregard what they think. They let that pass by like a fleeting moment. It's there for a reason. It's passing through your life. Take it, listen to it, really pay attention to your own heart.
Yeah, that's absolutely great advice. You always hear people like, if I would have just did the thing I thought about when I thought about it, or if I would have just, had the courage to leap, where could I be now? Because I think it's an old adage, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Today, right? So yeah, we wish we coulda. You can't do that, but if you could do it now, you could be in 10 years where you are now. So it's great advice, and I think people need to hear it, and they need to hear it in a bunch of different ways because it's going to resonate different for some people coming from other people, and that's super important to hear. So what does your average client look like? Who are the folks that if they have certain problems or certain pain points, you're the person that they should be talking to?
Well, someone who says, we have a sales team. I know that these people need to be improving. They have a growth mindset. They're in a position to accept, consider, and implement a coaching program. They recognize, probably as a VP, that their sales manager is probably incapable because of time and mixed kind of responsibilities to actually participate in a lot of regular coaching. But to be active in growth mindset, they have a growth mindset. They realize they can't do it all. They have to look from without, with someone who probably has a competency that will complete and help them. They can't hire the person full time, but they need some resources externally. No company has everything under their roof to help. So, open mindedness, growth mindset, let's have a conversation. That's really where, to identify, well, yeah, I think that, from a pipeline construction or development, yeah, we could do better. We're not taking care of the clients we have. We're not reaching out back to our own clients. Sometimes I said, you don't have a pipeline problem. You have going back to your existing client base problem. When was the last time you talked to some of your clients? There's probably 70, 80% of your revenue is dormant within that community of clients. So reach out, say hello, take them for lunch, have a call, sometimes just to back in touch. Are you still happy? Or is there anything else? And maybe there's nothing, but I bet you that they will remember you when something has to be looked upon. They may reach out to you from the trust, from the rapport the relationship you've developed. You're showing you're a considerate person. And that, like I said, always, you can't be one kind of a person and be another kind of salesperson. You are who you are. So hire considerate people on your sales team that are disciplined, and you'll probably have no problem, getting some pipeline revenue from the existing clients, let alone the new ones.
Yeah, that's super great advice and often overlooked. These people, they liked you enough already to buy from you, and then you never talk to them again, right? It seems like we should all make that connection. Hey, these are the people that I should nurture this relationship, even if it's just like a yearly postcard or letter or email or whatever that looks like, saying, hey, I wanted to reach out and let you know that we appreciate your business. We're here if you ever need anything. 6 months after helping them out, just touching base. Hey, wanted to know it's been 6 months since we did XYZ. It makes perfect sense that people overlook it all the time. So, what about power partners? Who are other industries or other professionals that you might synergize really well with that they might be able to help the same kind of clientele you do, just in a different way, and you guys can work back and forth?
Some people in HR that are working on the sales side or recruiting sales, they work with the managers or the senior VPs of companies, and they know what's going on within the sales team. Right now, recruiting salespeople is a big thing because there's a lot of companies that are letting go of their BDRs and sales functions. There's also the automation side that are probably replacing certain functions. Um, so HR, the marketing, a lot of people work in relationship with the marketing. So working in tandem with a marketing department, they know what's going on the sales side. Yeah, especially if they're accountable for revenue, they want to know what the sales side is accountable for on the revenue side. Marketing, former executives that were in the marketing side or the sales side are no longer, but are connected still to a community. Um, yeah, well, sales coaches like me, of course, but they want to keep the work for themselves, so that wouldn't probably be. But yeah, the power partners. I like the word power partners, so that resonates with me. Um, People who were executives before who are no longer, but think, hey, this would be helpful, because often when you retire and you lose some power when you retire, you don't have the same network as you did. You're no longer a power yield. But if you can bring value to where you worked for 30 years, it keeps you connected. It keeps you connected to that company or those companies. And you still have leverage. You still bring value to them. And because you're no longer involved, you can look at it from an objective standpoint. So that can help those power partners who are retired executives, right? Because there are a lot of retired executives who still navigate LinkedIn and are still involved. They probably have small projects here and there. So those are the kinds of people to say a person with a lot of years of practice and is disciplined and has done sports probably could bring a new fresh outlook on things. We need to refresh ourselves. We need to take a shower from time to time, so to speak. So yeah, those are the kinds of people that I think are helpful to bring me business.
Okay. How does focusing on your strength and health overall affect your, sales performance or just business performance?
Well, doing strength, if you're training for strength, you're training usually for things that eventually get hard. Making the effort to lift up a barbell, on your back and squatting, or you're deadlifting off the floor, or you're grabbing dumbbells and they're heavy in each arm, or you're benching like I'm about to do after I leave this interview. I'm going for PR today, by the way, 3:15. So we'll see, hopefully. Um, and it teaches your brain to do things that are hard. Because I'll take my example, my wife, I taught her, she's never done sports before, ever, ever. So to bring her from the consciousness of grabbing just a small dumbbell and just squatting with 30-pound dumbbell to squatting 110 or 115 with a barbell, 3 sets of 5, there's a long trail there of effort and acclimatization and mental development. So life is hard. Life is hard. It's not easy. So if you are used to doing things that are hard, life gets easier rather than doing things that are easy. And then eventually, as you get older, things get harder. So I purport that the mind gets to be trained as well. Because if you have to put 5, 10 pounds on the bar, lifting a barbell with a squat, another 5 pounds, and you've already had, it's a little bit scary sometimes. Well, you're going to lift up the phone, you're going to do a presentation, you're going to go out and knock on the door and have a connection with someone, or LinkedIn connection, and eventually you have a chat. You need to muster some courage. Well, whether it's courage for the call, or courage for the barbell, or courage to lift those plates off the floor, it's all courage. It's the mental faculty of developing, kind of inner resolve that you're going to go with it come what may, and that you'll overcome that. And because you overcame, you're a little bit better than before. You're adapted a little bit more. Likewise, you stress your muscle, you recover, and then you adapt. You stress the muscle, you recover, you adapt. Same thing in sales, same thing in business development. You go through challenges, you recover from the challenge, you're now better than you were before. You adapted.
Absolutely true. You're building mental toughness, mental resiliency. Doing hard things often is going to make you better at doing hard things. It's like training anything else. It's when you train your muscles, you see your muscles grow. You train, you adapt, you grow. It's the same in sales. You do more calls, you have more practice. You're going to grow. You're going to get better, and they're all hard things. So doing more hard things is good for you because you're going to get better at the rest of the hard things, regardless
Yeah,
of it.
there's one thing that really also I find that for those who I've coached that have become very, very successful in sales, is that when they get to that point, they're so much more relaxed in conversations because they've been there, they've seen all kinds of scenarios, and they're more calm. And you know what? That's when senior VPs are interested in talking with you, because I found that um, you usually get relegated down back to what you sound like. So if you sound a little bit wheezy, weak, usually someone who's in an executive position may not feel that coherence, that kind of kinship of tone of voice and kind of display of conversation tone. He says, you're probably sounding like someone who talked to one of my managers or supervisors, even less, right? So how you sound says a lot about who you are.
That's yeah, also exactly true. Just doing more hard things makes you more confident too. So it all weaves in. Uh, awesome. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
Well, you asked a lot of wonderful questions. I appreciate that. That's really good. No, I think that you did a great job. Thumbs up for Anthony.
Yeah, well, I know other folks out there have more questions that I haven't thought of. So what's the best way that they ask them? How can they reach you?
They can reach me through my name, Denis, Denis, and then Champagne, like the bubbly stuff that you'll use on the 31st. Champagne on LinkedIn. That's really where mostly I navigate and kind of you know travel and socialize, business wise, right? Of course. Or Lotus Communications, my company, LOTUSCOMM.com. But LinkedIn, Denis Champagne is probably DENIS, not double N. They'll find me there, or they can just do Denis Champagne, you know, space sales under Google, and they'll find podcasts of mine and where that can be reached with all my coordinates there with Twitter and Sprinter 14. So there's a few other places.
Perfect. And I'll get all that from you when we hop off and put it right in the description so everybody can find it. They don't have to try and spell it out or click. And if it's misspelled, it's his fault because I'm copying and pasting it. So don't blame me. No. But that's perfect. Awesome, Denis. It was awesome having you come on. I really enjoyed our conversations, and I think a lot of people out there will definitely benefit from it. If you're thinking about getting a hold of Denis, absolutely do it. You're going to walk away knowing more than when you went in. He's the exact same on a one-to-one as he is on here. So don't be shy. But if you are and you prefer an introduction, just ask me. I'm more than happy to make a three-way introduction for you. If anybody out there would like to get a hold of me directly, feel free. Reach my link tree, which will be in the description below as well. Grab a time. I'd love to have a conversation with you. But Denis, again, thank you for coming on and sharing all of your insights and everything with us. I hope wish you luck today on your PR. Hopefully you get it. It's easy. You throw another 5 on there. But let's all get out there. Let's get a little bit better today and meet some more people. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.